Hi, I'm Charlie and I'm here at Blue Cow Yoga today with Vinyasa. We're going to introduce the first part of a two-part series on how to jump backwards and forwards more efficiently. Okay, we're going to start with jumping backwards during Sun Salutation A. Vanessa's going to stand at the front of her mat with her feet together and her arms by her side. Breathing deeply, she inhales, bring the arms up above her head and gazes at the thumbs. As she exhales, she bends at the hip and places the palms flat on the floor. At this point, it's important to keep the palms completely flat on the floor. If you need to, you can draw the hands slightly forward of the feet to ensure that the wrists are flat. As Vanessa inhales, she looks up. At this point, Vanessa's weight is backward towards the heels. In order to create enough space to lift up, Vanessa needs to transfer the weight forward onto her hands, lifting the heels very slightly and looking up. Gently lift up the heels and throw the legs backwards, landing on her toes and lowering down. Inhaling to upward dog, the chest is open. Exhaling, she moves back to downward dog. Taking 5 long deep breaths in downward dog. When we want to jump forward, we're going to reverse the sequence. In an ideal jump through, the weight is borne by the strength of the arms and by the hands, and it's important to get the shoulders straight above the wrists with the elbows straight. So, when we're ready to jump forward, lift the heels, bend the knees, and round the lower part of the back, looking forward. Inhale, spring the hips high. Land on the feet and look up. As you exhale, the head goes to the knees and you can slide the hands backwards. Inhale, arms up, palms together and look at the thumbs. And as you exhale, arms wide, take the arms down to the sides. Again, inhale, sweeping the arms wide, we look up. Exhale, we stretch forward, placing the palms completely flat and the head down. Inhale, we look up. Now at this point, you may want to experiment with how close the hands and the feet are. If you take the hands very far forwards, it's much easier to jump back. So if you start with a nice wide gap between the feet and the hands, slowly as you get more proficient, you can draw the hands and the feet together. Notice that the weight is very much back on the heels here. The key to a successful transformation is to load the weight of your body from the heels forward into the wrists whilst keeping the arms straight. Ideally, the shoulder joint will be over the knuckles. So looking forward of your fingers, slowly taking the weight from the heels onto your toes. Look at that beautiful angle of her spine. And now she can lift her heels very slightly and slowly slide the legs back and jump and lower. It's important here to keep the elbows close to the ribs as you inhale to upward dog, keeping the elbows close. As you exhale, you go back to downward dog. Once you've successfully mastered jumping back, you can also work with your jumping forwards. Again, learn to do this systematically in a sequence, and then it becomes much easier to memorize for your body. So, lifting the heels, bending the knees and round this lower part of the spine. Look forwards of the fingers and jump the hips high, land on the feet and look up. Again, if the distance between the hands and the feet is large when you start, that's quite all right. As you get stronger and more proficient, the distance will get shorter. The priority is always to keep the arms straight and to keep the shoulder joint in front of the wrist for as long as possible. Exhaling, you can drop the head down, and here you can see the hands slide backwards. Inhaling, arms up, palms together and gaze up at the thumbs. Exhale, Samastitihi. When we're learning a new skill, it's important to always be successful and to build on our previous successes as we improve. Too often we try and rush forward too quickly and try and be too successful at things that we're not yet capable of doing. Work to learn the jump back skills, and then slowly you can improve your technique, shortening the distance between the hands and the feet as you jump backwards and when you land jumping forwards. So for the third time, inhaling, arms wide, gaze up at the thumbs. Exhale, stretch forward and down, palms flat. Again, if it's too much to keep the wrists flat, you can always take the hands forwards. Inhale, look up. Spend a few seconds here finding the balance. You can start to rock the weight forwards and then just back to the heels. Forwards to the hands, backwards to the heels. Sometimes we feel that we're much weaker than we are. Doing this rocking forwards and backwards tells our nervous system and our brain that we're actually strong enough and comfortable to bear the weight of our body on the arms. So we roll forward and exhale, we jump backwards. Lowering down. Inhale, upward dog, and exhaling, we go back to downward dog. There's often a tendency when people are learning to jump to start to rock the weight forwards and backwards onto the shoulders. You often see beginners doing this when they want to jump back, effectively giving themselves a running jump. It's much better to learn to do this with the weight loaded in the legs, because the power of the jump comes from the legs rather than the rocking motion to and fro over your shoulders. So we learn to lift the heels up, bend the knees, look forward and arch the spine. Inhaling, jump the feet forwards, gaze up. Exhale, drop the head down to the knees. Inhale, stand up, arms up and gaze up at the thumbs. And exhale, Samastitihi.